Hey guys, Joe Madden here, the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. Joined this afternoon by Jason Logan, Senior Industry Analyst for Covers. Jason, welcome to the show. How's the day going?
It's going all right. It's a little bit rainy here today, actually, but not a bad day. A little bit of a breather between NBA Finals games.
Yeah, absolutely. That little bit of rain does freshen things up in the spring. So always nice to get beautiful and sunny though here in YYC. We've had enough snow and rain. You guys can keep it there.
My grass is growing like exponentially with every rainfall, and it's driving me crazy because I can't mow it yet because it's too wet. So
Yeah, there should be an answer to that. You think, we have all these products for women's hair that we can, use while we're, drying and stuff, but nothing for lawnmowers.
that's right.
Something
Yeah, you
should be
can't you can't mow
invented.
you can't mow your grass when it's that wet. It's gonna look all jacked up. And I'm one of these guys that like that's my zen is I get out with the lawnmower and I put my headphones on and listen to my tunes or a podcast or whatever, mow the lawn, and that's my great thing. That's what I love to do.
Do you have perfectly straight lines in your grass when you mow it?
Oh yeah, and if not, I'll try to straighten them.
Wow, that's something I have not mastered. Definitely something I love to see. And when my neighbors do it, I'm really jealous. So I'm sure yours are too.
No, they've got much nicer lawns than I have. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah.
Well,
There's some putting green lawns on either side of me. So
oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Something to be seen for sure. Well, Jason, you're at Covers. I want to hear how you got started in this industry.
Yeah. So I started with covers just before the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl. I believe it was 2005. And a buddy of mine worked at Covers for a few years. He was on the development side of things, working more into like the tech and building out the website. And they were looking for writers and editorial staff. And I had just come out of university, was considering going back and doing a journalism degree, but got the job there. My interview was essentially just talking about college basketball, and that wasn't much of an interview. But from there, started as a content editor, and which was working 12-hour shifts overnight some nights, which as a young guy at a university wasn't that bad. And then
Yeah.
you'd work 4 days basically flat out, and then you'd have like 4 and 5 days off. So it was good as a young guy, first job at a university. But from there, just progressed into a writing role, covering a bunch of different sports and really learning a lot about the industry. I had bet on sports before I started at Covers. I was a big sports fan, big NBA fan and NFL fan, but really dove into the nitty gritty of it all. Learned a lot from handicappers and guys across the industry. We have great contacts with a lot of odds makers as well too. So just having conversations about why a line moved or how a line was made or how certain handicappers would view lines, just picking up little tidbits here. And as we know, handicappers all shapes and sizes. You have guys that are system bettors, and you have guys that are more kind of old school, cap the schedule, cap recent form, those sort of things. So I try to take a little bit from all those people that I learned. And then from a writer, went into more of a managerial role, associate editor, managing editor, while still creating a ton of content. And luckily enough, over the last couple of years, I've been able to really focus on content creation as we've been able to build out our covers team and bring in guys that are a lot smarter at the budgeting and the bureaucratic stuff, the stuff that I hate to do. They're much better at it than me, and I've been really happy just to be able to focus on content and create some great entertaining and hopefully informational content for people.
Yeah, you guys are creating fantastic content over there. So hats off to you, Jason. What is your favorite part of creating that content?
For me, I'm not a big like futures guy. So I'm not a big picture guy. I really like the nuances from one game to the next. I am traditional kind of spreads and totals and stuff like that. But I love digging into how teams, react and adjust and finding those mismatches and that information that is really, the key angle when you're trying to find value in odds, chasing after markets. I love doing that as well too, kind of projecting where lines will come out, where lines will move, and trying to get the best of the number and get ahead of line moves. And so I think just that hunt, that daily hunt of just trying to find the best information, that's what I love mostly about it. And then being able to kind of put it and have fun in a written form or a video form, and just help people make smart, informed wagers and hopefully win some money along the way. So
Yeah, absolutely. That is fantastic. Now, Covers has been around since 1995. You started in 2005.
Yeah.
What changes have you seen since you've been there that really stick out in your head?
Well, I mean, obviously the industry, the landscape of it has changed so much. When I first joined Covers, there was, just a handful of places that covered sports as extensively as we did from a sports betting angle. And I always said the mainstream media kind of had this, there was kind of some hypocrisy with certain things, Super Bowl and Kentucky Derby and March Madness. Those were the times that the mainstream media wanted to talk about sports betting and odds. And then outside of that, they were just like, no, this is bad. Degenerates, get back in the drawer. And so seeing the stance and that stigma around sports betting soften is a big thing. Being able to see the legalization of sports betting within the United States and the expansion of that, and then folding sports betting into the media conversation and the sports conversation. That's been really crazy as well too. I mean, for so many years, Covers really championed legalized and regulated sports betting, and then to see it come to fruition is still sometimes you shake your head. You see a commercial or an odds mention or something during a broadcast, and it still blows my mind as one of those guys that's been around for almost 20 years. So that's obviously a big thing with it. And just in terms of our team, just kind of growing out our team, we have a great core of people that have been there for a long time, really take a lot of pride and put a lot of sweat and blood and tears into that product. And then to just see it grow so much over the last few years has been fantastic. So.
Yeah, your growth is incredible. It's funny how you mentioned that. Like, it's not shameful to bet on sports anymore, but it was at one point, and it's crazy to think that.
Yeah, it was weird because I would tell people what I did, and you would get one of two reactions. You would get, "Oh, okay," and then they'd be like, "Are you guys good for money?" Like worrying, like, "Am I pissing away my kid's college fund on sports betting?" And I'll tell you, listen, I got 3 kids. I don't bet big. I bet within my means, so we're not going hungry by anything. But you would have those people that would kind of be a little bit skeptical about it, and then you would have those people that were super, super interested in it,
Yeah.
and ask you a lot of extra questions. And now, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't come with that stigma. So it's one of those things, the acceptance and kind of that stereotypical bettor of the grungy guy at the end of the bar with a cigar, that's no longer there. And it is guys like me who like coach my kids' baseball team, and it's dentists and vets, and it's teachers, and all these people, men and women like yourself too. I mean, you've seen so many more women involved in the sports betting industry too. It's people of from all over enjoying just kind of making the games a little more interesting. It goes hand in hand with the rise of fantasy sports and the rise of DFS. It's all just part of a deeper engagement into the sport, and just having a little extra fun.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And it's so funny that I have a lot of friends that say, well, we don't bet. But then you listen to them on a daily conversation, and they're betting each other on things that they don't even realize they're betting each other, not sports related, but they're still betting in one way or another. So definitely puts more fun watching a game with some skin in it. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, okay, so before Covers, before college, where'd you get that passion for sports? Where did that come from? Did you play sports growing up?
Yeah, it would have been my family upbringing. Like, I grew up in baseball fields and bowling alleys. Like, my dad would play in the outfield, and he would basically take us as kids and like sit us in the outfield next to him, because my mom was probably 2 diamonds down playing baseball somewhere else.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so and we had it was just a rotation of babysitters that were essentially on the sidelines. So whoever wasn't on the field or up next. So that's how we grew up, playing everything. And my parents were really involved. Like, my dad coached soccer and baseball, and as I got into playing basketball, they didn't miss a game. They were there for everything. So we've been like all the way through university. My mom was the loudest one in the gym. So
I love it.
Yeah, so I think that's a lot of it. My grandfather as well too. I remember betting like $5 on hockey games with him when I was 10 years old. Every time the Penguins, who were my team, I was a big Lemieux fan. Every time the Penguins played the Leafs, we had this running $5 bet, and the $5 probably bounced back and forth for about 10 years there, but no one ever collected. That was the thing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Families are great for that. I came from a super competitive family, but my father always cheered for the underdog, no matter who it was. The visiting team, he loved to piss off the crowd, for a lack of better word to say,
Yeah,
right? He was one of those. Do you have
there's a
anyone
little
in your
bit.
family like that?
My dad is New York everything. So he's
Okay.
Rangers and Yankees and New York Giants, which is why I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, because maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the guy that likes to piss off everyone. But I had to sit through so many Giants games, and then we end up watching the Cowboys smash them one week, and then the Giants were playing a late afternoon one. Dallas played an early one. And I was like, oh, let's watch a Cowboys game. And from then on, I became a Cowboys fan. And then like 2 years later, triplets go on the big run, and we haven't won a Super Bowl since. But and Dad's won 2, which he hangs over my head. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess it would be me. Would be the guy that's kind of rooting for the underdog. I love. I'm a Phillies fan, so I would go to Toronto and watch games when the Phillies were in town and kind of hammer up. And I've gone to playoff games for the Penguins when they're playing like Ottawa there a few years back, and love to kind of play that heel role and really ham it up and have fun with people there. But no, I mean, I'm not at least from my sports betting standpoint, I'm not someone that, I'll bet favorites and underdogs equally. But yeah, maybe that's me. I don't know.
Maybe it's
although all my
we can make a meme out of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, but all my teams are the teams that like people love to hate. Like I'm a Lakers fan and I'm a Cowboys fan, and we're like, the 2 big bad franchises. So.
Well, absolutely. When you were talking about that stigma and that shame around sports betting, all I could think of was a meme that you bet the Cowboys again. Did you see that a couple of seasons ago, where the dog is standing in the thing saying, should I tell the landlord you bet the Cowboys again and can't pay rent or something? It was so funny. If you haven't, I'm going to have to send it to you.
Oh, I really separate my fan from my sports bettor. And maybe that's being, in the industry for so long, that it has kind of killed the fan side of me, because you start to view everything through the sports betting lens. So I will say, like, when there's Cowboys games and I don't have action on them, it's a little bit enjoyable, and it's nice to sometimes watch a game if you don't have anything on it. But it's so hard to sit down and watch a game and then see something happen and get a feel and then be like, oh, I got a betting game. So then you kind of jump into it that way too. But yeah. And for me, like I said, I kind of separate my fandom and my sports betting, no problem. I'll bet against the Cowboys any day.
Yeah, I find easiest to bet against my team instead of for them, because at least if I bet against them and I lose, I'm happy kind of that my team won.
Hedge your happiness. Right? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think your Cowboys will do for the season before I let you go, Jason?
I think that's more of a reflection of how the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do. That's my big takeaway there. Dallas, I love what the defense did last year. I love that they hung on to Dan Quinn, but this is kind of a all or nothing defense. And they created a ton of turnovers last year, which are hard to replicate. So, if teams are being a little more careful around them and they don't get those extra possessions, really interested to see what they can do without Amari Cooper, and if they're going to let Tony Pollard actually unleashed here, or if they're stuck running Zeke because he has that paycheck. I will say cautiously optimistic, but it's going to be a battle between them and the Eagles in terms of that NFC East.
With the Eagles, do you have faith in Jalen Hurts for them? That's my biggest question mark with the Eagles right now for myself.
I think the offense that they showed in the second half of last year, when they really committed to the run, and they had kind of, they weren't they didn't have any like kind of game-breaking running backs, but they had a full stable of running backs. He's a guy that you have to keep your eye on as well too. Eventually, he's going to have to throw the ball. He picked up AJ Brown this year, so I'm interested to see how they use him and how he transitions from coming from Ryan Tannehill to a Jalen Hurts. But, I think their defense is going to be improved. They got a pretty soft schedule ahead of them as well, too. And if they can just run the football like they did at the end of last year, that chews up a ton of clock, other teams aren't going to have a whole lot of time with the football. That helps the defense out as well.
Yeah, absolutely does. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining me today on the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. Can you let everyone know where to follow yourself on all social media platforms as well as covers?
Sure. Well, it's just Twitter for me. I
Okay.
I
No
can't be
TikTok
bothered
for
running
you,
down anything
Jason?
else. But at Covers JLO on Twitter, and then you can come to covers.com, and we've got a ton of great information there, from baseball to basketball. Football season never ends, really. So I do weekly NFL notebooks, kind of looking at some different angles. I love that odds now are out for every single game on the board. So gives us a lot to play with from kind of May until September.
Yeah, it's going to go in a blink. So you enjoy your summer. I can't wait to have you on again and talk some more sports with you. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. You guys, I will be back in the next 9 minutes here for another Joe Madden Sports podcast. Thank you.